Good morning, fabulous people. I'm going to go live on YouTube. And while I do, I want to show you Trevor, all in one of my favorite songs. It's true, it is. You cannot rush your healing, it's true, you cannot rush what's inside of you. So I will say to you, I will show this song. We've got 5 minutes till the service begins. This is my favorite one. This one has a good song at the beginning, so I hope that you will enjoy.
Yeah, so we have a new album that just came out. It's called Kala, and Kala means time. It was kind of inspired by something my grandmother said. I was pushing her in her wheelchair in South Carolina, and she just kind of looked up at the sky and she said, "Isn't time such a wonderful gift?" But thanks so much for having me. This is super cool. I hope you guys had a good time here. Got a cool job. It comes to me upon the strings. When I hear it, well, I sing. I can't say it's my creation, staying patient, what it brings me. Let me say I'm coming humble, I don't know what's right or wrong. I just keep on believing, passing down an old song. An old song. Where everybody's got that chapter of dark and darker days. Saturn seems to be returning and his essence can't be tamed. Or some we like to fight it, try and plan a secret attack. But the more you push it, the more it's pushing you back. So you can't rush your healing. Darkness has its teachings. Love is never leaving. You can't rush your healing. Your healing. Mama, well, she told me time is such a wonderful gift. You're not running out, you're really running in. Confusion clouds the heart, but it also points the way. Quiet down the mind, the more the song will play. So you can't rush your Darkness has its teachings. Love is never leaving. You can't rush your healing. Your healing. Your You can't rush your healing. Darkness has its teaching.
Get yourself settled into the moment.
Love is never leaving.
Love is all there is.
You can't rush your healing. Your healing.
We're 2 minutes beyond, and it's worth it because that was Trevor Hall, You Can't Rush Your Healing. So I do hope that you enjoy that. I first was introduced to that song on a sacred sojourn of the soul that I took with a person that taught me a lot by not doing what was agreed upon. And it exposed a lot of power dynamics, culturally, individually. And that song was so much part of that trip that I will always look at it and think of the morning when I was driving across Arizona, Sedona. And yes, this is relevant. And it was the day that I found out that my grandma had had a heart attack, and we'd been gone for a couple days. And then by this point, we understood she was going to be getting surgery that morning, and we just had another friend come to meet us out in Sedona where we were. And so it was wrapping my head around my obligations to my family, and then my obligation to the person who I was paying for the trip to be out there with and couldn't just leave to go back for my family emergency, or I could, but then, you know, all of those things that were going on for me right then. And it was the song You Can't Rush Your Healing that we listened to as I knew my grandma was having a procedure done. And I say that because truly, we want to rush our healing so bad. And that is why I'm so glad that today you have chose to come for a sacred self-compassion service with yours truly, Laura J. And today what I want to do is actually move Saint Germain over for a moment. So we'll make sure he's just behind me. And this right here is just a really small radio transmitter that I had drawn last week. And then I said yesterday that today what I wanted to do was actually share that teaching. And I wanted to help you understand that you are this radio station that is sending out signals through our thoughts that are then broadcast and received by the grand overall designer, the creator of all that is, whatever you believe in, that receives it. And then it gives back your expectations, which are the thoughts, in the form of nouns, which are things. people, places, and events. So those opportunities to stretch and grow us ultimately become what we get back to us based on the expectation of our thoughts that we are willing to put through our cellular system, of which our cells are either filled with fear or faith, and we have to know how that's serving us. And then it's put out into the universe and given back to us in the form of experience. So today we're actually going to be reading the chapter of The Artist's Way on recovering a sense of abundance. And it is about realizing that there is no limitation in the supply, ever. There is only ever limitation in our ability to express it. Because if you actually think of a lamp, for instance, and I won't apologize for my drawing, but not apologizing for it is my apology. But I'm just kidding. Kind of, not really. But the point is that imagine you've got this lamp, right? And you're this lamp too. So you're the radio transmitter, and now you're the lamp, symbolically. And so essentially, the light is what we see in the world as our results, which come because of the expectations about what we think we can achieve, which then detects or determines what we will achieve or what we'll try. Now, the lampshade, I believe, this is the people we surround ourselves with. So this is our inner circle and the influences. And if they're really fearful, then that lampshade is going to be really dense, and it's going to be hard for that light to shine through. So it might have to use the path of least resistance to get its light out, compared to if it was a thinner shield. If it was a thinner shade, then we might be able to get a little bit out of here as well. But the point is that that lamp has a stand, and that electricity has to go all the way from the wall, which is the source, up through the lamp stand into the light bulb, and then radiate. And so you have to really treat your body. We have to treat our body, which is part of the movement piece at the beginning of our Sunday services. And once we've moved our body and honored our body and got juices flowing, then we're able to get back in the joy. And when we're in the flow, when we're in the joy of the journey and of the moment, then we're able to put out positive thoughts, which are then going to create more positive experiences back to us. And what I want to say right now, because we've just had family come to visit my grandpa, and so I was having a conversation with them before I came down, and I'm always pensive as to what to share of conversations with other people, because there's always the fine line between sharing your story and sharing someone else's story in the process. But I say that because we are so much more powerful when we gather, which is why I appreciate your tuning in today, and why I would love for you to be able to tune into the next Sunday service next Sunday at the same time, 10 a.m. Eastern, so that we can gather together and grow in numbers, and for warriors to be able to recognize one another, which is why I've been doing all the things that I have, including Tuesday, we'll have the second Mental Health and Harmonizing Humanity with Music Summit gathering at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. So please do make an effort to come for that. I'm going to be having a group coaching experience as well online that I would love for you to be able to come for on Tuesday evening at 7:44 p.m. Eastern Standard Time too. So if you have some questions about what you're dealing with or about the spiritual path, and you really want to have a safe space to be able to share what's going on in a group setting, because others will benefit from what you're facing, because we are all mirrors to one another. And then either if I might have a suggestion, I'm happy to share it if it's useful. But ultimately, as a coach, I am happy to hold space and ask the questions that help you find the answers that are already inside of you, that maybe you didn't know were there because you've never asked the question or had someone ask the question. And unfortunately, we're not asked the right questions, or the questions that really connect us deeper with our own soul so oftentimes. And so then we think that the lamp is only as good as how much light it emits, forgetting that the light bulb itself is changeable. It is the stand that ultimately has maybe electrical issues, and it is ultimately the shade on top of that that then determines how dense our experience is, how fearful or how liberated, how faithful it is. So, with that being said, I want to get into what we came here for, which is to talk about recovering a sense of abundance. And I want to encourage you to really get yourself into a space of seeing where you may be blocked, where you may be blocking yourself. It's only a 10 chapter, or it's a 10-page chapter. So it's very short. And I would love to hear questions that you may have. As you can see, my desk does my desk. I've got a rosary over here because I do feel like it's important to understand the tools that we have available to us. That's why on Thursdays as well, if you weren't already aware, at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I also co-host the Peaceful Inner Warriors United Lawfully Organized Summit. And that is a place where we can gather. And we are going to be talking about what it means to be sovereign, what it means to be legal or lawful, what it means to be a natural man or woman, the rights that come with that, the unalienable rights that we have until we no longer are considered human, which sounds crazy. But at what point does a GMO product become patentable when the original is overtaken by the fiction? And that's what we are seeing right now. So, as always, these are the things that go on in my head that I share. I didn't erase the teaching of the high rise of emotional awareness that is beside these teachings today. And as you can see, I've got the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John C. Maxwell, who I joined the program for, the John Maxwell coaching program, back in 2011. So it's been 10 years this month that I have been part of personal growth and development as my mainstay. And Saint Germain on alchemy is actually one of the 4 pillars in the teachings of the Ascended Masters. And this Thursday, we'll be continuing on reading the artist, or we'll be continuing on reading Saint Germain on alchemy at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time too. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have a summit in the afternoon, and then we do a reading or a coaching session in the evening. And so I would love for you to be able to come out to those. The coaching, I am asking for a contribution or a donation of some sort. And I'm really working to figure out my own abundance blocks so that I can really step up more as who I know I am to be in this world. And you may be experiencing something similar. So I want to be transparent and say that I've been feeling a lot of unease within my own cells this morning, and just not sure what the energies are, but riding the wave anyway. And I say that only because oftentimes we really need to understand that before we launch forward, sometimes it's like we take a couple steps back and we doubt it, because it's like you're in that liminal phase between who you were before you left for the journey and who you'll be after you get back from the journey. And when you're in the in-between phase and you're still building, or things haven't fully taken off the way that you had hoped that they would, maybe, these are the things that can really keep us held back, the extra steps that we took backwards in order to launch forward faster with greater momentum. So please do understand the law of momentum, the law of the big mo, is one of the 21 laws that John identified. And then we have to also say, what is a law? And that's something we'll talk about on Thursday, because these 21 specifically are not necessarily universal laws, though they're all based on it, because everything is based on universal principles, and abundance is a natural principle. So when we really start to understand that, we can then start to understand that, and then things really start to change. So we're going to get on to week 6, recovering a sense of abundance. This week, you tackle a major creative block: money. You are asked to really look at your own ideas around God, money, and creative abundance. The essays will explore the ways in which your attitudes limit abundance and luxury in your current life. You will be introduced to counting, a block-busting tool for clarity, and right use of funds. This week may feel volatile. So maybe that's part of the unrest that I was feeling this morning as I was settling in to the day. We start with the great creator. I'm a believer, Nancy declares. I just don't believe God gets involved with money. Although she doesn't realize it, Nancy carries 2 self-sabotaging beliefs. She believes not only that God is good, too good to do money, but also that money is bad. Nancy, like many of us, needs to overhaul her God concept in order to fully recover her creativity. For many of us, raised to believe that money is the real source of security, a dependence on God feels foolhardy, suicidal, even laughable. When we consider the lilies of the fields, we think they are quaint, too out of it for the modern world. We're the ones who keep clothes on our backs. We're the ones who buy the groceries, and we will pursue our art. We will tell ourselves when we have enough money to do it easily. And when will that be? We want a God that feels like a fat paycheck and a license to spend as we please, listening to the siren song of more. We are deaf to the still small voice waiting in our soul to whisper, "You're enough." Seek ye the Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all things will be added to it. We have been told often since childhood by people quoting from the Bible. We don't believe this, and we certainly don't believe it about art. Maybe God would feed and clothe us in a pinch, but painting supplies? A museum tour of Europe? Dance classes? God's not about to spring for those, we tell ourselves. We cling to our financial concerns in a way to avoid not only our art, but also our spiritual growth. Our faith is in the dollar. I have to keep a roof over my head, we say. Nobody's going to pay me to be more creative. We're awfully sure about that. Most of us harbor a secret belief that work has to be work and not play, and that anything we really want to do, like write, act, dance, must be considered frivolous and be placed a distant second. This is not true. We are operating out of the toxic old idea that God's will for us and our will for us are at opposite ends of the table. I want to be an actress, but God wants me to wait tables in hash joints, the scenario goes. But if I try to be an actress, I will end up slinging hash. Thinking like this is grounded in the idea that God is a stern parent with very rigid ideas about what's appropriate for us. And you'd better believe we won't like them. This stunted God concept needs alteration. This week, in your morning pages, write about the God you do believe in and the God you would like to believe in. For some of us, this means, what if God's a woman and she's on my side? For others, it is a God of energy. For still others, a collective of higher forces moving us toward our highest good. If you are still dealing with a God consciousness that has remained unexamined since childhood, you're probably dealing with a toxic God. What would a non-toxic God think of your creative goals? Might such a God really exist? If so, would money or your job or your lover remain your higher power? Many of us equate difficulty with virtue and art with fooling around. Hard work is good. A terrible job must be building our moral fiber. Something, a talent for painting, say, that comes to us easily and seems compatible with us must be some sort of cheap trick, not to be taken seriously. On the one hand, we give lip service to the notion that God wants us to be happy, joyous, and free. On the other, we secretly think that God wants us to be broke if we're going to be so decadent as to want to be artists. Do we have any proof at all that these ideas about God are true? Looking at God's creation, it is pretty clear that the Creator itself did not know when to stop. There is not one pink flower or even 50 pink flowers, but hundreds. Snowflakes, of course, are the ultimate exercise in sheer creative glee. No two alike. This creator looks suspiciously like someone who just might send us support for our creative ventures. We have a new employer. The big book of Alcoholics Anonymous promises recovering alcoholics. If we take care of God's business, He will take care of us. To battered AA newcomers, such thinking is a lifeline. Desperate for a way to achieve sobriety, they cling to this thought when worried about their own precarious abilities to live effectively. Expecting divine help, they tend to receive it. Tangled lives smooth out. Tangled relationships gain sanity and sweetness. To those less desperate, such assurances sound foolish, even deceptive, like we're being conned. The God who has a job for us, the God who has fulfilling work, the God who holds abundance and dignity, who holds a million possibilities, the keys to every door, this God can sound suspiciously like a flim-flam man. And so, when it comes time for us to choose between a cherished dream and a lousy current drudgery, we often choose to ignore the dream and blame our continued misery on God. We act like it's God's fault we didn't go to Europe, take that painting class, go on that photo shoot. In truth, we, not God, have decided not to go. We have tried to be sensible, as though we have any proof at all that God is sensible, rather than see if the universe might not have supported some healthy extravagance. The Creator may be our father, mother, source, but it is surely not the father, mother, church, teacher, friends here on earth who have instilled in us their ideas of what is sensible for us. Creativity is not and never has been sensible. Why should it be? Why should you be? Do you still think there is some moral virtue in being martyred? If you want to make some art, make some art. Just a little art, 2 sentences, 1 rhyme, a silly kindergarten ditty. God likes art. That's the part my parents would ignore. God likes art, and I make art. That's what God likes for me. Making art begins with making hay while the sun shines. It begins with getting into the now and enjoying your day. It begins with giving yourself some small treats and breaks. This is extravagant, but so is God. It is a good attitude to take when treating your artist to small bribes and duties and beauties. Remember, we are the cheapskate, not God. As you expect God to be more generous, God will be able to be more generous to you. What we really want to do is what we are really meant to do. When we do what we are meant to do, money comes to us, doors open for us. We feel useful, and the work we do feels like play to us. We will continue to work this week and with our ideas surrounding money. We will see how our ideas about money, it's hard to get, you have to work long hours for it, you need to worry about money first and creativity second, shape up our ideas about creativity. Money is God in action. Raymond Charles Barker. The more we learn to operate in the world based on trust and our intuition, the stronger our channel will be and the more money we will have. Jacques D. Gawain. Money will come when you are doing the right thing. Mike Phillips. Always leave enough time in your life to do something that makes you happy, satisfied, even joyous. That has more of an effect on economic well-being than any other single factor. Paul Hawken. All substance is energy in motion. It lives and flows. Money is symbolically a golden, flowing stream of concretized vital energy, the magical work of the soul. Luxury. For those of us who have become artistically anorectic, learning to be creative and refusing to feed that hunger in ourselves so that we become more and more focused on our deprivation, a little like authentic luxury, can go a long way. The key here is authentic, because art is born in expansion, in a belief in sufficient supply. It is critical that we pamper ourselves for the sense of abundance it brings to us. What constitutes pampering? That will vary for each of us. For Jillian, a pair of new-to-her tweed trousers from a vintage store conjured up images of Carol Lombard laughter and racy roadsters. For Jean, a single sprightly Gerber daisy perched on her night table told her life is a bloom with possibility. Matthew found that the scent of real furniture wax gave him a feeling of safety, solidity, and order. Constance found luxury in allowing herself the indulgence of a magazine subscription, a $20 gift that keeps giving for a full year of images and indulgence. All too often, we become blocked and blame it on our lack of money. It is never an authentic block. The actual block is our feeling of constriction, our sense of powerlessness. Art requires us to empower ourselves with choice. At the most basic level, this means choosing to do self-care. One of my friends is a world-famous artist of formidable talents. He is assured a place in history for his contributions to his field. He is sought after by younger artists and respected by older artists. Although not yet 50, he has already been singled out for lifetime achievement awards. Nonetheless, this is an artist suffering in the throes of artistic anorexia. Although he continues to work, he does so at greater and greater cost to himself. Why? He sometimes wonders to himself, does his life's work now feel so much like his life's work? Why? Because he has denied himself luxury. Let me be clear that the luxury I am talking about here has nothing to do with penthouse views, designer clothes, zippy foreign sports cars, or first class travel. This man enjoys all those privileges, but what he doesn't enjoy is his life. He has denied himself the luxury of time, time with friends, time with family, above all, time to himself, with no agendas of preternational, preternatural, preternational accomplishment. His many former passions have dwindled to mere interests. He's too busy to enjoy pastimes. He tells himself he has no time to pass. The clock is ticking and he is using it to get famous. Recently, I bought myself a horse for the first time in a decade. On hearing the good news, my accomplished friend moved immediately into his wet blanket mode, cautioning, "Well, I hope you don't expect to get to ride it much or even see it much. As you get older, you do less and less of the things you enjoy. Life becomes more and more about doing what you must." Because I have learned to hear wet blanket messages for what they are, I was not too daunted by this prognosis. But I was saddened by it. It reminded me of the vulnerability of all artists, even very famous ones, to the shaming I should be working side of themselves that discourages creative pleasures. In order to thrive as artists, and one could argue as people, we need to be available to the universal flow. When we put a stopper on our capacity for joy by anorectically declining the small gifts of life, we turn aside the larger gifts as well. Those of us, like my artist friend, who are engaged in long creative works, will find ourselves leeching our souls to find images, returning to past work, to tricks, practicing our craft more than enlarging our art. Those of us who have stymied the work flow completely have those of us who have stymied the workflow completely will find ourselves in lives that feel barren and devoid of interest, no matter how many meaningless things we have filled them with. What gives us true joy? That is the question to ask concerning luxury, and for each of us, the answer is very different. For Bernice, the answer is raspberries, fresh raspberries. She laughs at how easily pleased she is. For the cost of a pint of raspberries, she buys herself an experience of abundance. Sprinkled on cereal, cut up with a peach, poured over a scoop of ice cream, she can buy her abundance at the supermarket and even get it quick frozen if she has to. They cost $1.98 to $4.50 depending on the season. I always tell myself they are too expensive, but the truth is that's a bargain for a week of luxury. It's less than a movie, less than a deluxe cheeseburger. I guess it's just more than I thought I was worth. For Alan, music is the great luxury. A musician when he was younger, he had long denied himself the right to play. Like most blocked creatives, he suffered from a deadly duo, artistic anorexia and prideful perfectionism. There were no practice shots for this player. He wanted to be at the top, and if he couldn't be there, he wouldn't be anywhere near his beloved music. Stuck and stymied, Alan described his block this way. I try to play and I hear myself, and what I can do is so far away from what I want to do that I cringe, and then I quit. Working on his creative recovery, Alan began by allowing himself the luxury of buying a new recording a week. He stopped making music work and started making it fun again. He was to buy crazy recordings, not just high art. Forget high-minded aspirations. What sounded like fun? Alan began exploring. He bought gospel, country, and western, Indian drum music, a month of this, and he impulsively bought a set of practice sticks at the music store. He let them lie, and 3 months later, Alan was drumming on the handlebars of his exercise bike while rock and roll blasted through his Walkman. 2 months later, he cleared a space in the attic and acquired a second-hand drum kit. I thought my wife and daughter would be embarrassed by how bad I was, he explains. Catching himself in his blaming, he cops, actually, I was the one who was embarrassed, but now I'm just having fun with it and actually sounding a little better to myself. For an old guy, I'd say my chops are coming back. For Laura, a dime store set of watercolor paints was her first foray into luxury. For Kathy, it was a deluxe Crayola set, the kind my mother would never let me get. I let myself do 2 drawings the first night, and one of them was a sketch of me and my new life, the one I am working toward. But for many blocked creatives, it takes a little work to even imagine ourselves having luxury. Luxury is a learned practice for most of us. Blocked creatives are often the Cinderellas of the world, focused on others at the expense of ourselves. We may even be threatened by the idea of spoiling ourselves for once. Don't try to let go of Cinderella, my friend Karen advises. Keep Cinderella, but focus on giving yourself the glass slipper. The second half of that fairy tale is great. What we're talking about when we discuss luxury is very often a shift in consciousness more than flow. Although, as we acknowledge and invite what feels luxurious to us, we may indeed trigger an increased flow. Creative living requires the luxury of time, which we carve out for ourselves, even if it's 15 minutes for quick morning messages and a 10-minute mini bath after work. Creative living requires the luxury of space for ourselves, even if all we manage to carve out is one special bookshelf and a windowsill that is ours. My study is a window shelf of paperweights and seashells. Remember that your artist is a youngster, and youngsters like things that are mine. My chair, my book, my pillow. Designating a few things special and yours alone can go a long way toward making you feel pampered. Chinatown Anywhere offers a beautiful teacup and saucer for under $5. Secondhand stores often have one-of-a-kind china plates that make an afternoon snack a more creative experience. Much of what we do in a creative recovery may seem silly. Silly is a defense our wet blanket adult uses to quelch our artist child. Beware of silly as a word you toss at yourself. Yes, artist states are silly. That's the whole point. Creativity lies in paradox. Serious art is born from serious play. Counting, an exercise. For the next week, you will be discovering how you spend your money. Buy a small pocket notepad and write down every nickel you spend. It doesn't matter what it is for, how tiny the purchase, how petty the amount, petty cash is still cash. Each day, date a page and count what you bought, what you spent, where your money went, whether it was for groceries, lunch in a diner, a cab ride, subway fares, or a loan to your brother. Be meticulous, be thorough, and be non-judgmental. This is an exercise in self-obligation, not self-flagellation. You may, flagellation, not flatulation. Okay. You may want to continue this practice for a full month or longer. It will teach you what you value in terms of your spending. Often, our spending differs from our real values. We fritter away cash on things we don't cherish and deny ourselves those things we do. For many of us, counting is a necessary prelude to learning creative luxury. John Maxwell always says that our priorities show up in 2 places: our bank book and our calendar. So it's what do we spend our money on and what do we spend our time on? And whether we like it or not, those are our priorities because it's what we prioritized in order to achieve that which we received as compensation for the investment. So, money madness, an exercise. Complete the following phrases. People with money are, money makes people, I'd have more money if, my dad thought money was, my mom always thought money would, in my family, money caused, money equals, if I had money, I'd, if I could afford it, I'd, if I had some money, I'd, I'm afraid that if I had money, I would, money is, money causes, having money is not, in order to have more money, I'd need to, when I have money, I usually, I think money, if I weren't so cheap-eyed, people think money, being broke tells me tasks. We're nearly at the end already. Natural abundance. Find 5 pretty or interesting rocks. I enjoy this exercise particularly because rocks can be carried in pockets, fingered in business meetings. They can be small, constant reminders of our creative consciousness. Natural abundance. Pick 5 flowers or leaves. You may want to press these between wax paper and save them in a book. If you did this in kindergarten, that's fine. Some of the best creative play is done there. Let yourself do it again. Clearing. Throw out or give away 5 ratty pieces of clothing. Creation. Bake something. If you have a sugar problem, make a fruit salad. Creativity does not have to always involve a capital A art. Very often, the act of cooking something can help you cook something up in another creative mode. When I am stymied as a writer, I make soups and pies. Communication. Send postcards to 5 friends. This is not a goody two-shoes exercise. Send to people you would love to hear from. Reread the basic principles from page 3. Do this once daily and read an artist's prayer, yours from week 4 or mine from 207-208. Do this once daily. The basic prayer, the basic principles. Basic principles. Creativity is the natural order of life. Life is energy, pure creative energy. There is an underlying, indwelling creative force infusing all of life, including ourselves. When we open ourselves to our creativity, we open ourselves to the Creator's creativity within us and our lives. We are ourselves creations, and we in turn are meant to continue creativity by being creative ourselves. Creativity is God's gift to us. Using our creativity is our gift back to God. The refusal to be creative is self-will and is counter to our true nature. When we open ourselves to exploring our creativity, we open ourselves to God, good, orderly direction. As we open our creative channel to the Creator, many gentle but powerful changes are to be expected. It is safe to open ourselves up to greater and greater creativity. Our creative dreams and yearnings come from a divine source. As we move toward our dreams, we move toward our divinity. And then the artist's prayer is also back here. It is here, my friends. It's true. No, it's not. What do you do? What? This is not correct. They advised me the wrong place, guys. It's okay. An artist's prayer. O great Creator, we are gathered together in your name, that we may be of greater service to you and to you, our fellows. We offer ourselves to you as instruments. We open ourselves to your creativity in our lives. We surrender to you your own ideas. We surrender to you our old ideas. We welcome your new and more expansive ideas. We trust that you will lead us. We know you created us and that creativity is your nature and our own. We ask you to unfold our lives according to your plan, not our low self-worth. Help us to believe that it is not too late and that we are not too small or too flawed to be healed by you and through each other and made whole. Help us to love one another, to nurture each other's unfolding, to encourage each other's growth, and understand each other's fears. Help us to know that we are not alone, that we are loved and lovable. Help us to create as an act of worship to you. So read those once daily as the boost of the remembrance of who you truly are. Clearing. Any new changes in your home environment, make some. Acceptance. Any new flow in your life? Practice saying yes to freebies. Prosperity. Any changes in your financial situation or perspective on it? Any new, even crazy ideas about what you would love to be doing? Pull images around this and add to your image file. Check in. How many days this week did you do your morning pages? Have you used them yet to think about creative luxury for yourself? How was the experience for you? Did you do your artist date this week? Have you considered allowing yourself to? What did you do? How did it feel? Did you experience any synchronicity this week? What was it? Were there any other issues this week that you consider significant for your recovery? Describe them. That is the end of this week, which brings us to recovering a sense of connection. And I am very much looking forward to bringing that to you. I am excited to be working through Saint Germain on Alchemy too simultaneously. And ultimately, eventually, I am going to start doing a mastermind group on leadership, because right now that's what we need more than anything. We need leaders. We need people willing to lead themselves, which is why self-compassion is so important and why I want to just take a moment. I'm getting familiar with how to actually use the drum, so I only just play with it, but it does clear energy. So I just need to get better at actually using it purposefully. And that's the difference in tools. Self-compassion is using your breath to call yourself present so that you can hit the note that you want to within your own self, where you can actually replace fear with love, where you can make it so that you intentionally choose to clear the air because you understand your worth, that you are able to clear the air simply because you were willing to go there first. And that's where a lot of us are at right now, I feel. For myself, I can only speak. What I can say is that I have been on the back burner of personal growth and development in the crock pot of growth for a dozen years now. I've been a certified coach, teacher, speaker with the John Maxwell team for 10 years now. And so having had that experience, the crazy thing that blows my mind the most is how much I doubted myself over the years. It blows my mind how much I doubted myself because I could see what no one else could, because you can too. And it's called your vision. It's your dream. It's what came in your heart, no one else's. And when you bring it into fruition, as I have done and continue to do with my own stuff, as we do that, that then becomes the second time that people are able to see what we have to offer. Because the first time is in our mind's eye. But when we create it, it's the second time we've seen it, but it's the first time anyone else does or can. And that's when then they say, oh, wow, no wonder you focused on that for so long. Like, yeah, that was worth it. But like when it's not yet out and people are judging us because of how long it's taken to get to the place of being able to do the thing that we originally set out because we heard the call in our heart and we said, yes, I will go. So we didn't fully understand the point. We didn't fully understand life. We didn't fully understand all of the things that we can better understand now that we have a different perspective to view it all from. That experience is humbling, to say the least. And regardless of how humbling that experience may be or not, in the end, it was required. And so leadership is very much necessary, and ironically not something that I focused my teaching on, because I was more interested in the spiritual. What I didn't understand was how interconnected all of it is. And so now that I have been on this journey for 10 years and judged myself ridiculously hard, especially after I moved back from England, where I had been a supported housewife that wasn't married. And, I did my organic skincare consulting with Neil Jard Remedies, and I helped my ex in his business. And I ran the coaching partnerships program for the mentorship program with the John Maxwell team. And I did a lot of things, but I didn't value what I did, or I didn't understand it, because I felt like I wasn't contributing as much as what I could have, because my standards have always been higher, except lower at the same time. And so these are all perspectives that I've gained by being willing to stay on the path, and being willing to get up after I have fallen flat on my face and given myself scars on knees, hands, chin. There are so many areas where we get bruised along the way. And self compassion is really being able to say, "You're okay. You're okay. You're okay." And to talk yourself through the experience of being hurt and rising above it. And so I am speaking calm, and I am doing so with a full heart to hopefully overflow onto you so that you can go into your week believing in yourself a little more. And I do this because I don't know who needed to hear this message. I don't know when that you will have needed to hear this message, because the replay makes these ever present until things change, and at which point we have no comprehension of how to even fathom or factor in any of that. So we have to just let go of the things we cannot control and say that today I could control what I chose to do at 10:10 when I said I would come for a sacred self-compassion service. And so we came together and we talked about abundance, and we talked about the radio transmitter theory, where your thoughts are things that you are putting out, your expectations, and then they are being given back to you through the form of people, places, and things. And then it's just the cycle all over again. So God receives the message of the thoughts that we send out, and then we go through that experience. And I'm trying to go opposite direction, so it's difficult. But when we're working in reverse, or when we're seeing something that's different from what we're feeling, there's a disconnect. And we have to be very cognizant of that, because there are a lot of disconnects that appear to be connected. And so paying attention to how we feel through it all is going to make a world of difference, which is why this teaching is coming to life in a way that it never has before, simply because I'm ready to do more with it. And because I got to the level of being able to say, "Oh, okay, yeah, interesting, let's change this," and then work with it and adjust it and modify without judging it as less than or not good enough in the process. That is how ultimately we then become the lamp that we already are symbolically, except for this light is our results and what we're able to do in this world. And so I really want you to understand that if you feel like you're not doing as much as what you could, and your abundance is maybe blocked, and the ever flowing source is not delivering output the way that you would like to be able to say proudly that you received and then gave, I would say, please be gentle with yourself and realize we can change the lamp, or we can change the light. We don't have to change the whole lamp. So your body, your mind, your spirit, your heart, all of that is the whole of you. Your energy system, you radiate energy many feet outside of you. Each of us do. And that is the abundance that you inherently radiate. So as you walk through a gate, understand that your form extends far beyond what can be seen or needs to fit through that small space, simply because you are so much more than can be seen. You are so much more than meets the eye. And so today, before we go off into our week, I just want to send blessings your way, send you love. I'd love to do an affirmation together too, actually, in fact. So I just hit the bell because I like it. Well, it's a drum, not a bell, but I would love for you to do a repeat after me for the final few minutes of today's service. I am beautiful. And you repeat, I am beautiful. I am great. I am kind. I am heartfelt. I am sincere. I am generous. I am loving. I am lovable. I am abundant. I am becoming better. I am in the process of becoming my best self. I am in the process of becoming my best self. I am in the process of becoming more me than I ever have before. I am in the process of is a great setup statement for affirmations, because the subconscious belief systems that already exist there cannot say that is not true, even if it may not have been where your energy went before. Because by saying, I am in the process of, you are. And the subconscious says, okay, well, fine, sure, yeah, whatever. And it doesn't dismiss it entirely. It just doesn't have to give it the same amount of energy to disprove I am statements that we don't fully feel yet. So if you can't say I am, then please give yourself the gift of saying I am in the process of, and experience your world revolutionize by that simple shift. So I hope this was useful for you. I very much look forward to coming to you again next week. Tuesday, 3:30 Eastern Standard Time, we've got the Mental Health and Harmonizing Humanity with Music gathering at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. At 7:44, then we've got a group coaching experience with yours truly. I would love to be able to answer questions or offer questions that help you find the answers that are already there, you're just not aware of. On Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, there is the Lawfully Organized Summit, where we're going to be talking about what it means to be sovereign, what it means to be a natural man or woman, what it means to be lawful or legal, and where we fit in this grand overall scheme, and the human context, the spiritual context, and why they're related but not the same. And then at 7 p.m. on Thursday evening, I will also be reading Saint Germain on alchemy, because we are all alchemists. We have come here to transmute and be part of the change that we seek in this world. And it is through our story that we change, and that it is through what we do with our story that we help others step into their fullness, the way that we're all here to do, and the reason we're not islands, but instead are here together. So I look forward to seeing what this week brings to you. I would love to know what this message has meant to you, what it's meant for you, and then what you're going to do with it. So please do comment below. Let me know. I do read all of the messages, even if I may not be good at reading them in the moment expressly. And very much, oh, it did it again, where over on YouTube, I thought that we were live, and yet it hadn't fully switched on. And so you've missed the entire service yet again, but I will get it reposted up to you. So I do sincerely apologize for that, my friends over on YouTube. If you are not already subscribed to my channel, I would appreciate that. Over on Facebook, Laura J.E. Hamilton, just like there, it is over here. Thanks for showing up, and I literally just found out that you were not live. So I apologize for that surprise, but I'm going to get the actual service uploaded once I've got it processed from Zoom, and then we're over. So better just check next time. But hey, you do the best that you can. I hope you're having a great day. I'll look forward to coming together with you again soon. And I've got everything already mentioned. So I'm just going to cut this off over there on Facebook. Thank you guys so much for showing up today. I look forward to reading the comments, and also appreciate shares with people that need to hear the message that helps them understand that they are cared for, that they matter, and that they are not alone, because none of us are. We're all in this together. We just need to unite and connect, and that's what Peaceful Inner Warriors United is all about. So I'm working hard to get that movement more comprehensive, to make it a safer option for people to understand, and would love for you to be able to band together with others who understand we're here to be the change we seek in this world. So it's a lot of responsibility, but with power comes great responsibility. And it is up to us how we're going to wield that responsibility. So I look forward to seeing you guys again next week for the sacred self-compassion service that we'll do then. And appreciate your showing up today. Toodaloo. Guys, do you understand how frustrating it is when you do an entire thing that you thought was recording, but you hadn't checked over to the page, and then when you do, you find that it only just turns on live then? I say at 222. Yeah, that happened. So I apologize that you jumped on and got a reduced show only because it was already done, but we did read the chapter on abundance today. And I did also do a teaching about the radio transmitter and also the lamp. And then the teaching of the high rise of emotional awareness. That teaching in itself is one to just really be able to navigate your emotional states more cohesively and consciously. And so I'll be going into the high rise of emotional awareness a lot more soon. With the radio transmitter analogy, essentially it is just to say that your thoughts go out and are received by the grand overall designer or creator of all things, that then gives you back your expectations or thoughts in the form of people, places, and things. So when you then understand the reciprocal nature of being and being us specifically, then we can really start to put out more intentional thoughts that then create better, more desirable results. Because if we're consciously participating in the creative process, then we'll get to consciously participate in the reception process too. So that's always undergoing. And then the lamp here, this is to say that this is your results because of the light that radiates from what you do with all of the God-given potential that is always coming from source up through your body and then out through your body into the world. So please understand that you are the one who can command how bright your light is able to reach based on what you're willing to put into you, who you're willing to have around you as well, because our inner circle, it's called I don't know whether it's called something specifically, but basically we become the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So when we understand that, then we start to see people as the lampshade that determines how much of our light is actually able to get out and into this world. So I will very much look forward to posting the actual service that was not recording when I thought that it was here. So I apologize for that, but I do thank you for coming in and very much look forward to being able to see you on Tuesday or Thursday of this week when I have the summits in the afternoon, and then a group coaching call Tuesday night, 7:44 p.m. And then at 7 o'clock on Thursday night, we've got the St. Germain. We'll be reading that with that book study as well. So I hope you can join and look forward to hearing your thoughts on the service. And I sincerely apologize that that didn't come out to you live, but evidently maybe music or the movie medicine was all that you needed, which is basically where you just click on the part in the video that you feel called to, and then you get that message. So maybe try that when it's live, and I'll get that up as soon as I can, and wish you a wonderful day in the meantime.